Ladies and gents, welcome back to another video. In front of me here is a little package, and inside of it is an iPhone 4. Now, the reason I bought this iPhone is because I think there's a chance it's running iOS 4, which, as most of you know, is the original version that this phone shipped with. So let's get this thing opened up, find our iPhone, and see if we can get this thing saved, because it's on the recovery screen, but I think there's a few tricks we can try to get this thing working. So let's get this iPhone opened up. All right, here's our iPhone. It's the white model. It does have a Griffin case on it. This thing feels kind of yucky, so we're going to go ahead and take that case out. And here is our iPhone. This is the no SIM card model. You can see normally we have a SIM card tray there on the right side, just like this one, but that does not exist. So I think this is a CDMA iPhone 4. Heading around to the back, we can see this is EMC 2422. And that means it is an iPhone 4. It's a little bit dirty. I'm going to give this thing a quick clean before we try to power it on. We also have a 30-pin cable here. This appears to be an original Apple cable, just based on how it looks and feels. So that is very nice to get as well. So let me get this iPhone cleaned up, and then we'll try to power it on. All right, the iPhone cleaned up pretty nice. The screen does have a fair number of scratches, as you can see there. No cracks on the front. The back is actually in better condition. I'd suspect that is a result of having the phone in a case, but without a screen protector. The edges look good. The speaker and microphone grills are a little bit dirty. 30-pin connector is pretty dirty inside. Nothing too serious. A little bit of damage up there on that corner, but enough talk. Let's try to get this thing powered on. We'll see if it has any charge. Oh, and it does. We are immediately met with the Connect to iTunes screen, and a few tricks to tell that this is potentially iOS 4 is going to be that thick slider bar. So let me try to show you what, that's iOS 9. Do I have, this one should be a good example. This is an iPod Touch on iOS 6. Notice the difference in size between those sliders. In the middle of iOS 5, Apple changed that to be the more thin little arrow bar there with the slide to unlock. So this means it's either an early version of iOS 5 or iOS 4. I'm thinking it's iOS 4 because we do have the Connect to iTunes sign, and the iOS 4 was actually the last version where you had to physically plug in your iPhone to a computer in order to activate it. You could not just unbox it, turn it on, and set it up. There had to be a computer involved for that setup. So I think that is going to be the telltale sign that this is iOS 4. So we're going to go ahead and get this thing connected to our MacBook, and then we're going to see what happens. All right, so let me go ahead and slide this MacBook here into the frame. We're going to open a new Finder tab, and then we're going to connect our iPhone here to the MacBook. And hopefully this thing is going to activate. So we'll leave that right there. Should pop up on the left-hand side here. We should see iPhone. There we go. Now it should give us the activation message there on the screen. First it's going to say loading, then it's going to say activating. And this iTunes logo should go away, and we should see the charging logo with a slide to unlock instead of slide for emergency. So this might take a minute. Oh, there we go. So you can see it says activating now. That's a good sign. And there we go. Here is our iPhone 4. So we're finished with that MacBook. That's a really quick process. Go ahead and move that back over here and focus our attention back to the iPhone. So definitely iOS 4. How do I know? Because it's got the iPod icon. It's got Game Center. It's got the iOS 4 wallpaper. Some pretty unique signs that this is iOS 4. And of course, those squared off slider bars there give away instantly that this is iOS 4. So let's head into settings, general, and about. 4.2.6, this is a Verizon phone, so that means it is CDMA. Like we mentioned earlier, those models do not have a SIM card tray. So kind of interesting why they don't. But 4.2.6, that might be the earliest version for CDMA phones. Maybe it's 4.2.4. Not 100% sure about that, but this is a really early version of iOS 4 for the CDMA model iPhones. So let me go ahead and get connected to the Wi-Fi here, and then we're going to see if some stuff like the App Store is working. So we are connected. So I'm not expecting the App Store to work. I think iOS 7 is the last or oldest version that those things are working on. Let's try voice control. Really have to hold the home button for a long time to get voice control. What's the time in San Francisco?
No match found.
What time is it right now?
The time is 3:20 p.m.
All right, so this is a super early version of Apple's voice assistant there, known as voice control. This was available on the iPhone 3GS and later, and the iPod Touch 3rd gen and later, if I'm not mistaken. And it's very simple, can basically tell you the time, play the next song, previous song, pause music. I don't even know if it can set a timer. I don't think it can. Actually, I think there were some prompts that scroll across the screen. Let's see what those say. So we can do next track, previous song, play album, call somebody, shuffle music. I guess you can FaceTime somebody, play more like this. So it's really just music and phone controls. And by phone, I mean like literally calling people or FaceTiming. That appears to be the only thing you can do here with voice control. So the iPhone 4 has a single core Apple A4 processor that is clocked at 800 megahertz paired with 512 megabytes of memory. This model has 16 gigabytes of storage. You could get 32 at launch, and then 8 gigabytes would come later. I think in 2012, Apple introduced an 8 gig model for the iPhone 4. It's got a 5 megapixel lens on the rear. Not the best for taking photos or videos, but you can do HDR. So this was the first iPhone that enabled HDR photos. Also the first iPhone with a front-facing camera that allowed for FaceTime videos. So the 3GS and the 3G were offered in a white option, but only the back of those phones were white. This was the first time white was available on the front of an iPhone. Some other changes for the iPhone 4 included this amazing aluminum rail around the outside. Looks fantastic even today here in 2024. We've got the headphone jack at the top. We've got metal power buttons, which feels super nice. A big upgrade from the iPhone 3G and 3GS before it with the plastic back. This phone just feels so premium. The iPhone 4, despite its name, is limited to 3G cellular connectivity. 4G would come in the iPhone 4S the year later. Of course, we can't miss out on talking about the Retina display. This was the first iPhone to feature that, and it looks fantastic here even in 2024. Opening up all these stock applications, you can really see how sharp the text is and just how nice everything looks on this display. For 2010, when this iPhone came out, this was a game changer. This was the highest resolution display in a smartphone. It was also the thinnest smartphone in the world at the time. Now this thing actually feels a little bit chunky, maybe because it's so small, but this was the thinnest smartphone in the world. I think also in 2011, maybe Apple lost the title for that, but I know in 2010 this was the thinnest phone you could get, at least a smartphone. So there you have it. That's been a quick look here at the iPhone 4. This really changed the game for not only Apple, but smartphones all over the world. This was the first really premium feeling smartphone, and it pushed the boundaries of what was capable in a device this size to fit in your pocket. Retina display, 5 megapixel camera with a flash, powerful Apple A4 chip, the first iteration of Apple Silicon, and of course iOS 4 brought a bunch of new powerful features to the iOS lineup. Before we go, let's head into settings and check out those iOS 4 wallpapers. A lot of familiar faces here, but I think one we've never picked before is this thing. I don't know what this is. Somebody leave me a comment down below if you know what exactly that is a picture of. Appears to be some sort of wooden artwork. Maybe it's something special somewhere in the world, or maybe it's just a very common thing. Or could just be some random piece of art that somebody made. But either way, I'm interested to hear if anybody knows exactly what that is. All right, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I look forward to seeing you in another one of my videos.